What's going on, everybody? It's your host, Dr. Splash, and today I have a fun battle, okay? I don't even remember the last time on my channel when I did a 2v2 in this kind of capacity, right? But this is something that actually came to mind because I've been accused of being biased against so many characters over the years. In fact, I will be doing a tier list soon, possibly tonight. Maybe I'll go live. Reviewing and ranking every character based on my bias, whether negative or positive. And let me know in the comment section down below which characters you want to see me reflect on in terms of my bias level for them, okay? But regardless, I thought it'd be funny if we put a 2v2 with 4 characters that narratively it makes sense for them to battle, but they also have all at one point or another, I've been accused of being biased towards them, okay? We have on one side, Ben Grimm versus Hulk, 2 of my favorite Marvel characters, and also 2 characters classically that love to beef with each other and also have teamed up. And then we have Guy Gardner and Lobo from the DC side, 2 characters I also have definitely been called biased for, and 2 of my favorite characters in DC as well, with both of them being hard asses, and they're basically the only characters that like to fight each other, right? But they've also teamed up before. So it's kind of the same dynamic between all 4, as well as all 4 of them are typically considered some of the hardest characters to go up against in their respective verses in terms of tough guys that actually have crazy power levels. So what would happen if these 2 teams clashed? I'm going to weigh in. I'm going to briefly break down both sides. And if you want all of these characters, all 4 of them, definitively scaled on my channel, let me know in the comments as well. I just definitively scaled Punisher, so go check that out. We had a long intro. I promise I won't make this video 20 hours long, but let's begin. First up, on the Marvel side, we're going to review Team Hulk and Team Thing. Ben Grimm is a character who was struck with cosmic rays, thus granting him with the same cosmic powers that kind of infuse some of the cosmic beings you see throughout the Marvel Universe, including characters like Silver Surfer. This power gives him an incredible rock-like skin, as well as incredible durability and strength. In fact, it allows him to rival some of the strongest characters in Marvel, such as Hulk. Since his inception as a member of the Fantastic Four, Ben Grimm has been the muscle of the team, which is impressive considering characters like Reed Richards can actually hold back several members of the Avengers by himself using his elastic powers. Regardless, Ben's not just muscle, but his muscle is something we have to talk about, given he's been able to punch it out with the Hulk. He's literally leveled layers of hell and then threatened to take on Celestials after with the likes of Hulk. He has punched beings at the end of existence in the face of certain literal existence erasure. Terrax is nobody to him. The only thing that makes that battle relevant is the axe. Besides that, he thinks he's a bum. He's knocked out a feral Silver Surfer before. He's gone toe to toe with Silver Surfer. He's knocked around Doom. He's capable of killing Doom if he takes it that far. He is someone who historically has gone toe-to-toe with some of the heavier hitters like Namor, who underwater Ben Grimm has taken on. And underwater, Namor can take on the entire Avengers roster, even catching Mjolnir and impacting Mjolnir itself, which is incredibly impressive. He even managed to knock out Devil Hulk. And to even rebuild the structure of his bones and arms, it takes high-level metals like vibranium to do so, which implies Ben Grimm's at least at that level. Not to mention, dude's taking on the Executioner, or the Asgardian Destroyer armor that was empowered by Galactus, forcing Galactus to abandon it. He is, perhaps above all else, one of the toughest characters in comic book history, and it makes him absolutely miserable to fight against because he's someone who can rival Hulk in strength. Perhaps not as strong, not stronger, definitely not stronger, but strong enough. And he's incredibly skilled. He was in the Elite Forces beforehand, having served even with Nick Fury, as well as he's trained with the Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four, and everywhere in between. He's brilliant as well. Someone who Reed would go back and forth with mentally, as well as he is their trusted pilot through the multiverse. Ben's a lot more decorated than people think, as well as his durability, his cosmic durability, allows him to have many hacks resistances, fighting back against mental probes, fighting back against soul hacks, existence erasure. He's fought in voids beyond time and space. It's ridiculous what he does. Doom even considers his power beyond logic, and the crucial being to help him fight at the end of creation. Okay, so Ben Grimm is no slouch, and he will be joining his buddy Hulk. Now, Hulk is someone to be feared, especially since his Fractured Sun run. Now, what did Fractured Sun Hulk accomplish? Okay, this introduced the idea of not only is he powered by the one below all, the supreme cosmic deity that stands opposite to the one above all, but he is also in possession of the god flesh, which was corrupted by the Mother of Horrors. Now, this is important because we saw in her clash with the one above all, Mother of Horrors actually pierced him and corrupted him, creating Gamma and actually making him stronger, producing the one below all in this battle. Now, this is insane because this is what powers the likes of Hulk, which at least bare minimum be a high outer power source, which makes sense when you take in the context of what he accomplished in the Fractured Sun run. For example, he was able to break the chains of the first firmament. This is the OG Eternity, a concept, an abstract being that exists beyond time, space, dimensions, even stories themselves, right? As we know, some of the earlier cosmos contained basic primal concepts like just narrative and story, which Firmament would be beyond, and Hulk broke out of. On top of this, he's able to casually take on Ghost Riders. He's able to take on Eldest, who, according to the author Philip Kennedy Johnson, in her true form, which of course he overpowered, she is stronger than even Zarathos, who I make fun of Ghost Rider, but Zarathos is obviously absolutely no slouch. He put down Brother Deep, who was someone that the one above all believed was strong enough as basically a knockoff version of him to have to pull up and deal with himself, which he did, which led to the confrontation with Mother of Horrors. He's taken on Elder Gods. He's taken on eldritch beings that are a threat to the nexus of all realities in Marvel, which basically puts you on par with the threat of bare minimum Dark Phoenix, but you should be beyond as well, which Hulk easily put down. He accomplished a task that neither God nor Lucifer had done when he found the wife of Lucifer and took her on. It's absurd what he's capable of. His regen obviously is ridiculous given his god flesh nature and being empowered by Toba. On top of this, the narrative of the Fractured Sun story will never end, and it can't end according to the likes of Eldest. On top of all these high-end hacks, his punches seem to be able to almost existence erase you, as Eldest barely got away, needed a new vessel because of this, which is insane considering her form is like supposed to be stronger than Zarathos. He's put down immortals. He's put down eldritch beings. It seems his Gamma punches, which it makes sense as they're both divine and powered by something that's basically strongest in the verse. It makes sense that they carry this high level of conceptual power, not just basic raw AP. Overall, because of this, Fractured Sun is one of the toughest characters you could ask to go against in Marvel right now. He's currently going to go on the Infernal Hulk run with Eldest taking over his body, but we're going to see the greatest bounce back, I'm sure. But taking Fractured Sun, who's the one with the most feats recently, I think he's more than capable of taking anybody on, with really his only downside being if you put him in another dimension, like the Nexus, it's kind of questionable if he's ever going to get out, but he's beating the shit out of anything in the Nexus and he scales above the Nexus. It's just about the actual escape. Will that ever occur? Hard to say, but we do know when he goes all out, like we saw when Tobo fully merged with him in his Al Ewing run, he was going everywhere in existence, even taking out the final prince, Franklin Richards. So eventually he would be able to do so, theoretically, if pushed to do so. But nonetheless, Fractured Sun has quite the profile and will be accompanying his friend Ben Grimm into battle. Now we need to encroach upon the other side and talk about what the big dogs are doing from DC, okay? Two of my other goats. Let's start off with my boy from Guy Gardner, the GOAT of Baltimore, okay? Guy Gardner grew up a tough life, basically grew up a similar background as Ben Grimm. By the way, I dropped a Ben Grimm mini-series run recap recently. Amazing. It was beautifully written, okay? You got to go watch that. But bouncing back, Guy has just as an amazing of a backstory in terms of really deep and really nuanced, and it really reflects why he's so tough and so calloused, okay? But regardless, out of all the Green Lanterns, this is the tough guy, right? This is the toughest nut to crack. Green Lanterns have plenty of tough guys as conceptually their rings are based on the emotion of will, one of the strongest emotions in the Omniverse. However, What separates Guy is he's arguably more about it than all of them, okay? He's always up for the scrap of doodles, having taken on all of his predecessors that are supposed to be stronger and above him. He's taken on the likes of Jon Stewart, holding more than holding his own. And this is impressive too, because Jon Stewart is perhaps the most militant of the standard Green Lanterns from Earth, taking on Hal Jordan himself, the OG, who's supposed to be the strongest. And even Hal says, in his own way, Guy Gardner matches him, right? Like, he's like the evil version of him, okay? While he might not be as nuanced as other Lanterns, while he might not technically be as strong as other Lanterns, his mixture of all his other attributes makes him unique. Guy, not only in terms of scaling to all the other top Green Lanterns, has taken on other Lantern Corps, taken out entire Black Lanterns by himself, taken out Red Lanterns. He's actually become a Red Lantern at one point, becoming even the GOAT of that corps. And if you don't know this, essentially, like, the strongest of the corps typically do scale to the emotional entity that they embody or had created. And so him scaling above Atrocitus, in theory, yeah, Guy should be right there as well in terms of how all the others scale to their characters. He's so tough, he's so durable and so resistant that in being tortured by the Yellow Lantern Corps, who are literally some of the best torturers in the multiverse, it was stated that Guy Gardner's toughness and his resistance and his inability to crack under the full might of the Yellow Lanterns was so insane that stories would literally be written beyond time, beyond space, like into the spectrum itself, about how tough the legends of Guy Gardner truly were. This is someone who literally sat in the pocket with a character who can take on the likes of Superman, and he went blow for blow with him without his ring. Just saying, you're not tough enough to beat me. I'm from Baltimore. Facts. Now, what makes him obviously a super threat as a Green Lantern is his emotional constructs that he can manipulate and create. These are beams, empowered beams, that are capable of taking on the likes of even Lobo, who you're going to see how strong he is in this video. He's able to take on Superman tier threats, as well as characters such as other Lantern Corps, aliens from outside of time and space themselves, so on and so forth, and was one of the most effective in the Darkest Night storyline. He ultimately, while he might not have the most diverse skill set or technically be the strongest of all the Green Lanterns, he's arguably the toughest fight to pick out of all of them because of his toughness and how ruthless he is. Out of all of them, he's the most likely to really put you in the dirt as far as an extent as he's allowed to have. Okay, and by the way, before anyone says it, I'm taking away his inability to kill in this battle as a Green Lantern, okay? Guy's allowed to turn up fully. Now, let's pan back to Lobo, because we kind of mentioned him in the scaling to Guy. Now, Lobo is a character as a Zarnian. This was an alien race that was incredibly brilliant and incredibly physically gifted. It's kind of like when you consider Superman's race of Kryptonians, but to a more extreme extent, because, you know, some circumstances have to be mitigated in order for Superman's people to be as strong as they are. Regardless, the Zarnians were killed off by Lobo because he was born evil as shit and a little hood rat, right? Like, immediately he wanted to poison all his people, kill all his people, become the last Zarnian, which for a while he was. Like, there are some stories that changed that, but regardless, that was his gimmick. Now, he went on to become this galactic bounty hunter, okay? A being that can take on any and all cases in the multiverse as long as you have the bag. This has led to him literally taking on the likes of Superman, going toe-to-toe with the different versions of Superman throughout DC continuity, holding his own, or being one of the toughest fights Superman could ask for. He's gone toe-to-toe with Darkseid. He's one of the few characters that will actually clown him before going against him. He sold his soul to Naran as a joke, Naran being one of the strongest Hell Lords in DC, someone that could take on Spectre, even manipulating and get the better of him. When he did this, Naran got annoyed with Lobo, got trolled by Lobo. Like, Lobo sold his soul so he'd get a song out of his head, and Naran had to listen to the song for the rest of the time. Like, this is someone who trolls Hell Lords for fun, okay? It's ridiculous. On top of being one of the strongest characters, we recently saw in the KO event, he took down the likes of, I believe it was Plastic Man, which no one should be surprised. Like that's one of the better fights you could ask for, as both our durability gods. Lobo essentially can regenerate from anything, even a drop of blood, so he's almost impossible to put down. Like I said, doesn't even have a soul anymore, technically. He sold it to Naran. And he has such extreme killing methods at his disposal if he chooses to go and get them, that he's even brought death to the fifth dimensional imps. He actually went to the fifth dimension, the realm of the imagination beyond time, space, dimension, even stories. This is why characters like Mixie can go and interact with the authors or bully them. And this is important because he went there, and the concept of death does not apply to there. It should not be there. But Lobo brought it there. He was able to introduce it to these beings, which is absurd. And he was able to rob them as well. He was collecting the bag, as you should know. So technically, on a skill level, he's as skilled as anyone, as he's taken on all the members of the Justice League, can easily take them on throughout time as well. As a bounty hunter, he kind of has to be this skilled with weapons as well that scale to his AP. Generally, they just provide more area of effect to what he's trying to accomplish. His bike will come to him at all times, and is capable of moving as fast and scaling to members of Justice League like Flash. Overall, Lobo is one of the toughest customers you could ask for. His durability is insane. His regen's insane. He has incredible weapons. He's incredibly tough, and he does not care. That's why he is someone that almost no one in the universe wants to take on, with the exception of absolute mad lads like Guy Gardner, which is why they're perfect whenever they're on panel together. So, with these 4 characters covered, introduced, and gotten out of the way, how do I see this fight going down? Now, for obvious reasons, I love this battle. Features 4 of my favorite characters I've covered on this channel, and characters, hopefully, if you show this video some love, I will continue to cover happily, okay? And subscribe if you love my activity and how much I post. Now, in terms of this battle, this is one of those fun situations where I thought of this shit this morning. So as I talk about how this battle plays out, you're gonna get my honest opinion on how this goes. Now, gun to my head, who is the strongest of the 4 characters here? It's Fractured Sun Hulk. I think Fractured Sun, on a technical level to what he scales to, would just flat out have the best AP out of all the characters here. Who would be second? I think it would be Lobo. Out of all the characters here, for the ones that I think would have the genuine best chance of rivaling peak Fractured Sun Hulk, it probably is Lobo. He would be the closest one to making up that gap, whether through his weapons or taking the fight more serious, just going all out what he's capable of. I think he'd be the closest to closing that gap. Third place, I think it's Ben Grimm. I think Thing not holding back, Thing going all out, his AP, it's marginally better than Guy Gardner. Like, Guy definitely has arguments to be right there with Ben. I think that desperate punch, that all-out punch from Ben is probably hits harder than what Guy is going to throw. But I could understand if you think Guy is right there in AP with Ben Grimm. Now, in terms of if we're moving on to durability, this is a weird one, right? Because Lobos and Hulk, like in terms of how their regen works, essentially the same. I think narratively, Hulk has a stronger case, like in terms of what he can resist, the durability, what it extends up to narratively, and like his narrative protection and all that. But is that going to be an impact on this battle? Probably not, right? Like, I don't think these characters are going to start trying to narratively erase each other. That's not how they fight. So I don't know how much value that has. So I can't definitively say I think Lobo has way better durability in this case than Hulk. I think it's close. I think Hulk in some ways can be compromised. He has had his mind compromised, can be weak to some hacks, can be BFR, stuff like that. Lobo's also been taken down by Brainiac, been manipulated stuff. So it's weird, right? I think they're pretty close. They're pretty relative. Probably favor Hulk, but it's pretty close, right? Lobo is second, if not tied for first place at that point. You then move on to the case between Guy Gardner and Ben Grimm in terms of their durability. I think it's negligent. I think both are as tough as it gets, mentally, spiritually, all that. Thing physically, just given what like the brawls he's endured, I probably favor the physical durability side for Ben Grimm, but Guy's also a dog too, okay? So I don't know. Like between those two, it's crazy. Like it's a toss-up again. Speed-wise, I favor Lobo. I think Lobo has the best speed scaling here. I think his is more consistent. Yes, you can make arguments for all four scaling to each other in speed in terms of being able to react. They're not going to get super blitzed, but Lobo does have, I think, the best speed arguments here with his interactions with the Flash family, with his interactions with higher conceptual beings, blitzing and murdering fifth dimensional imps in their own realm. It's absurd. Okay, Lobo quite capable, quite fast. Probably favorite speed here for Lobo out of everybody. Second would probably be Guy Gardner. This is someone who's gotten a drop on Lobo, can contend with Lobo fairly easily, can contend with all the regular heavy hitters throughout the DC comics in terms of like the Flash family. So I definitely think Guy Gardner in this instance, given we quite literally know he can keep up with Lobo, that team's faster, technically. Like on paper, they're faster. You then have Hulk and Ben. I think Ben's a little quicker than Hulk in the pocket. That's always been the case when they match up, and I think that's very consistent. And then you have Hulk. But again, I have to emphasize, just like I've given AP advantages here, they all have arguments for being in the ballpark, okay? So it's kind of like the AP thing, the speed thing. You can make arguments to being able to react, to being able to fight back, of course. It's just if we're talking about who on paper would technically be faster, that's how I play it out. You then move on to versatility, okay? Like who has the best bag of tricks? First place, I'm going with Green Lantern. I think his Green Lantern ring, what he can do with the constructs, how he can manipulate the battlefield, the different things the ring can do in terms of teleporting, terraforming, energy blasts, energy constructs, all these things. Stuff. Obviously, the flight, regenerating his power itself with will. There's a lot he can do with this ring that makes him incredibly versatile. Second, I'm going with Lobo, okay? He always has a bag of tricks on him. These bag of tricks allow him to take on gods and even things beyond gods. They're ridiculous. They scale to his AP. His bike is crazy. He has his hacks as well, his durability, his regen. So I'm going to go ahead and say Lobo's second, okay? Third would be Hulk. Hulk with his conceptual, his insane AP, his erasure of immortality and things like that. Hulk's absurd, okay? Hulk's absurd in terms of what his AP can do, but outside of that, it's like his regen and what he can come back from, and how he can get stronger reactively, and can reactively adapt and overcome things. That's the extent, okay? Everything else, he's not really doing. You can make an argument he can release like gamma bursts with Fractured Sun form, which it kind of appears he did when fighting back against the Chains of the First Firmament and Eldest, but it's up in the air, right? You then move on to Thing. Thing's bag of tricks is he's in the pocket like a fucking demon, and he's super strong and he's super tough, okay? Outside of that, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Ben Grimm's not known for a crazy bag of tricks, okay? He's just that guy. All right, I'm not even going to sit here and play with you guys. Intelligence-wise, this is tough. I actually think it's Ben Grimm. I think Ben's the smartest fighter. I think Ben's seen everything, done everything, won every kind of fight you could have, lost every kind of fight you could have, seen every kind of opponent you could have. The smartest here, probably Ben Grimm. Second, I'm actually going to go with Lobo. Now, I know he's a troll, but in terms of his purposes as a combatant and a strategist as a bounty hunter and how he hunts, he's one of the best. Like, he's insane. And he would be considered one of the most dangerous, especially if he's locked in terms of his game planning, his unorthodox nature, and what he brings to the table as a fighter. I think his battle tactics, his brilliance as a combatant, I think it's very underplayed. I think he's right up there, okay? You would then have Guy Gardner, someone who was both a cop and obviously a well-experienced Green Lantern and Justice League member. He's served in several Lantern Corps as well, seen every kind of cosmic war you could have, seen the War of the Lanterns, everything you could think of he's been through, crisis events. It's hard to overshadow how smart he is as well, and what he's survived, endured, and overcome. Guy's right up there, okay? Last place would be Hulk. Fractured Sun's not stupid, but he's also not brilliant. Kind of a similar-esque disposition to a Savage Hulk, a little smarter, I would say, but still nothing too brilliant, okay? Hulk's there to get some shit done. We're not here to think about it. All right, so that's my list for that. I would say these are the major categories we've kind of discussed, with some advantages leaning Team Hulk, some advantages leaning Team Lobo. Like, for example, AP and toughness, we're probably overall going to lean towards the likes of Team Hulk. Speed, versatility, we're going to lean towards Team Lobo. Okay, so how does this play out? Well, for one, Ben Grimm versus Guy Gardner is a battle I've been asked about several times. I think in the long run, Guy Gardner has too many ways to stop Ben, in terms of, like, he can keep the distance, he can fight from a distance, he can kind of nullify that brawling effect with Ben. You know, like, he doesn't have to entertain Ben up close, which can make this incredibly difficult for both characters in terms of Hulk and Ben, right? Like, the distance management is going to be a problem right off rip. Now, obviously, if Guy Gardner chooses to engage in a brawl, which granted, Guy does quite a bit, like, that is his personality, Ben's fine. Ben's fine in the pocket. Like, I think Ben does absolutely fine in the pocket against Guy Gardner. It's when Guy elects to mix in the distance game that this becomes a problem, okay? So if this was strictly a 1v1, how that plays out, I favor Guy, okay? Now, Hulk versus Lobo. Lobo has plenty of tricks, plenty of speed, and plenty of AP and durability to hang with Hulk. Like, I genuinely believe that. Now, when he gets up close, when they start fighting and stuff, a more serious Fractured Sun, I believe, does hit hard enough to put down Lobo, okay? Like, I think his hardest punch can put down Lobo. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. We've at bare minimum seen Lobo at least be temporarily stopped by Batman when taking his head off, like having the, you know, obviously Batman having bombs that have the AP to do so. We could expect, you know, Hulk's punch to scale above that. Now, I'm not saying like one showing dictates Lobo. I'm just saying in terms of overcoming durability, even immortality and regen, Fractured Sun Hulk's punches have been shown to do that, which makes sense given the nature of what Gamma actually is. Okay, so I definitely think he can put down Lobo and eventually would, okay? So if this was a strictly 1v1, I see Hulk being favored right now, okay? Like, that's how I see that playing out. But it's not a 1v1. It's a 2v2, okay? So in the pocket, I think this is rough. Who goes down first? That's really what we got to ask ourselves. I'm not necessarily sure if he goes down first in the classic sense, but Lobo's going to get rocked. I do think Lobo will get rocked pretty early because he's going to talk crazy to Hulk. He's going to get up close. Did it with Darkseid. I think Fractured Sun's going to catch him. Now, it won't permanently put down Lobo, but he's going to rock his shit. Guy Gardner at that point, this is where the problem is. He's going to back up, right? He's going to create that distance because now it's a 2v1 with brawler types for the time being. And that's when we're going to see him engage with the energy constructs, trying to wear down Ben Grimm, keep Hulk off him. Hulk can try to thunderclap, as can Ben. But again, that would just knock Guy back, create more distance. It's weird at that point, right? And then Lobo re-emerging in the fight can learn his lesson, adapt, start using distance as well. Now, Ben technically probably goes down first in this situation, but at the same time hanging in the pocket with Hulk, I don't know. It's like, will Lobo and Guy just refuse to engage at that point and just keep bombing? And then which at some point, yeah, I guess like Ben goes down, but then you might risk Fractured Sun going all out. They don't have an answer for that. It's weird at that point. Like if Lobo, I think Lobo and Guy should win this. Like, I think they should take it. But technically, I don't know if they can permanently stop Fractured Sun or permanently get that dub. But you know what? I'm going to say, at least in the temporary sense, Guy and Lobo, due to their versatility, speed advantage, and the fact they can create that distance, I'm going to give them the edge here. But I will acknowledge a possibility that Fractured Sun really lets loose. It just kills Guy and Lobo. Like, he has the capability of killing them when he catches them, okay? And I think Ben can hang in the pocket, allowing this for potentially to occur. But if I'm to be a betting man, I think I'm going to favor the speed and versatility here of Team Lobo, even though it's slight and it's hard for me to say, you know, my dog Ben and Hulk lose, but whatever. I'm going to favor Team Lobo here. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I thought this was a sick fight. I had a lot of fun doing it. and I wanted to get y'all a banger. I'm also going to drop Giganta versus Hydro Man today, and maybe a stream as well. Let me know if you're looking forward to my content. Keep that notification bell on, and remember, it's Yancey Street, bitches.